Let me paint you a picture. You get a raise, you celebrate, you upgrade the car, move into a better apartment, life feels like it is finally moving. 6 months later, you are working just as hard. But somehow you have less money than before the raise. The bills are bigger, the payments are higher, the paycheck is already spoken for before it even hits your account. That is not bad luck. That is not poor discipline. That is the debt trap doing exactly what it was designed to do. American households now carry an average of over $154,000 in total debt. Credit cards, car loans, student loans, all stacked on top of each other, all requiring monthly payments, all feeding a system that profits every single time you cannot pay in full. The debt trap does not announce itself. It arrives disguised as convenience, comfort, and opportunity. And by the time most people see it clearly, they are already deep inside it. Today we pull it apart, and we are going to give you a framework for getting out that most people have never heard. First, understand that debt was not always normal. For most of human history, borrowing money was considered a last resort, something you did only when you had no other option. Then, in the 1950s and 1960s, banks made a discovery. If they could normalize borrowing, if they could make debt feel like a tool instead of a burden, people would use it constantly. And constantly using debt meant constantly paying interest. Endless profit generated by ordinary people living ordinary lives. So they rebranded it. They stopped calling it debt and started calling it credit. They invented a score, your credit score, and told you the higher it is, the better you are doing financially. Here is what they left out. Your credit score does not measure your wealth. It does not measure your freedom. It does not measure your financial health. It measures one thing: how reliably you pay back money you owe them. A perfect credit score means you are a perfect customer. They made borrowing frictionless, invisible even, and most people never stop to do the math. The debt trap is not a hole you fall into by accident. It is a system you were walked into and handed a shovel to dig a deeper hole. Now, I want to say something about interest that nobody has ever said to you this way. Interest is exactly what it says it is. It is the bank's level of interest in you. That's it. Think about that. When a bank charges you 20% interest on a credit card balance, that is not a fee. That is not a penalty. That is the bank telling you exactly how interested they are in your financial situation. The higher your balance and the lower your payment, the more interested they become, because you are profitable to them. The moment you pay off a balance completely, their interest in you drops to zero. A paid-off customer generates nothing. A customer carrying a balance at 8 to 20% generates everything. So every time you make a minimum payment, you are not paying off debt. You are renewing the bank's interest in you for another month. This is important because most people don't look at if they can afford the loan with all the interest. They base the decision on if they can afford the monthly payment. That's it. Here is something the financial industry has known for decades and used against you every single day, and that is, there is a psychology to money. When you pay with cash, you feel it. Your brain registers it as a real loss. You can see it leaving. When you pay with a card, nothing happens. Tap, swipe. No friction, no feeling, no loss. And here is the name for what that creates: the invisible money trap. Studies show people consistently spend 12 to 18% more when paying with a card versus cash. Casinos figured this out long before credit card companies did. That is why they use chips instead of bills. The moment money becomes abstract, the psychological guard drops and spending goes up. The credit card companies design their apps to keep you in the invisible money trap. They show you your available credit, not your outstanding debt. They highlight your reward points, not your interest charges. They make the spending feel like winning and the debt feel like someone else's problem. The invisible money trap is not about what you spend. It is about what you do not feel when you spend it. And the entire system is built to keep the feeling away from you for as long as possible. Now the math. And this is the part they bury in the fine print, because if you actually read it, You would never pay the minimum again. The average American carries a credit card balance of around $6,500 at just over 20% interest. If you pay only the minimum, it takes over 7 years to clear that balance. And by the time you are done, you will have paid roughly $3,600 in interest on top of what you originally spent. 7 years. For something you already bought. Plus over half the original balance again. Paid directly to the bank. That vacation from 3 years ago, you are still paying for it. That sale where you saved 30%, you gave every bit of those savings back and then some. The minimum payment amount is not calculated to help you. It is calculated to keep the bank's interest in you alive for as long as profitably possible. They are not offering you a manageable payment. They are offering themselves a sustainable revenue stream. Before we talk about how to get out, you need a new way of seeing what you owe. Because not all debt is the same kind of trap. There are 2 types of debt: building debt and draining debt. Building debt is connected to something that is growing in value or generating income. A mortgage on a home building equity. A business loan that produces more than it costs. This kind of debt can be a tool. Draining debt is everything else. It is financing something you already consumed or something losing value. The car worth less every year you drive it. The vacation that is now a memory. The wardrobe on the card. The takeout from last Tuesday. Draining debt does not build anything. It does not generate anything. It just drains. Month after month. Interest payment after interest payment. It is the bank's level of interest in your past, collected in perpetuity. Now look at everything you owe right now and ask one question about each item. Is this building or draining? That list, separated into those 2 columns, is your real financial picture. And it is more honest than any credit score has ever been. Now here is the framework. Most people have been taught one of 2 methods for getting out of debt. Attack the highest interest rate first, or attack the smallest balance first. Both of these are fine. Both of these work. But both of them treat debt like a math problem, and debt is not a math problem. Debt is a behavior problem with a math solution. What actually kills most debt payoff plans is not the numbers. It is the psychology. People lose momentum. They stop seeing progress. They go back to the old patterns because the new ones feel too slow and too far from where they want to be. So here is what I want you to build instead. Your Debt Accelerator. The Debt Accelerator is not about which debt you attack first. It is about creating a system that builds momentum so fast that quitting becomes harder than continuing. Here is how it works. Step 1. Build your debt map. Write down every single debt you carry, every card, every loan, every amount owed to anyone. Next to each one, write the balance, the interest rate, and the minimum payment. The total interest you are paying across all draining debt each month is what the trap is costing you. Write it down. It is the number you are going to make smaller every single month. Step 2. Find your accelerator dollar. Look at your debt map and identify the one draining debt whose minimum payment, once eliminated, frees up the most cash flow each month. Not the biggest balance. Not the highest rate. The one that gives you the most dollars back when it is gone. That is your first target. Every available extra dollar goes there. Every freed up dollar from subscriptions you canceled. Every dollar from the raise. All of it. Aim it at that one target until it is gone. We are setting targets, not goals. Goals are the ending point, but targets are designed to be knocked down on the way to the goals. Step 3. When that target is eliminated, do not absorb that payment into your lifestyle. Stack it on top of what you are already paying toward the next target. This is the accelerator effect. Your payment power grows with every balance you eliminate. Step 4. Apply the raise rule permanently. Every time your income increases, from a raise, a bonus, a tax return, anything, 50% of that increase goes to your debt accelerator before you adjust your lifestyle at all. The other 50% is yours to enjoy. Increase from this point forward goes toward buying your freedom, not building a more expensive version of the trap. Most debt advice is only focused on subtraction, but the fastest way out of the debt trap is not just to eliminate draining debt. It is to simultaneously build a parallel track. A parallel track is something you are building, even slowly, even 2 hours a week, that generates income outside of your primary job. A skill you can charge for. A piece of content that earns while you sleep. A service someone will pay you for. Something that belongs entirely to you. Every dollar your parallel track generates is a dollar that did not come from your paycheck, which means it is a dollar that can go directly to your debt accelerator without affecting your lifestyle at all. The parallel track does not just build your future, it speeds up your exit from the trap. You do not need to replace your income to make this work. You need your parallel track to generate enough to make one extra debt payment per month. That one extra payment, applied to your first accelerator target, can cut years off your debt repayment timeline. So here is where you start this week. Build your debt map. Calculate your total interest on your draining debt monthly and over the maturity of the loan. Find your accelerator dollar, the payment that frees up the most cash when eliminated first. Apply the raise rule from today forward, and start identifying what your parallel track could be. 5 moves. Any one of them done this week changes the direction of your financial life. All 5 done consistently makes the trap reversible. The inner circle breakdown goes deeper into the debt accelerator, including how to identify your parallel track based on what you already know and how to structure the full system so it runs on autopilot. The link is in the description, because awareness without action is just frustration with better vocabulary. Don't just watch this, use it, subscribe, share this with someone who you think would find this helpful, and drop in the comments. What is one debt you are carrying right now that you wish you had never taken on? I will see you in the next trap.